Smith, you ready?
Not yet.
Good evening. Time is 6:04. This is the regular session of the School Board of Trustees of the School City of East Chicago. The place is the Administration Building, 1401 East 144th Street, East Chicago, Indiana, 46312. And we're also via live stream, www.scec.k12.in.us. This is a meeting of the School Board of Public, in public, for the purpose of conducting the school corporation business, and it is not to be considered a community public meeting. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gomez?
Present.
Trustee Smith?
Present.
Trustee Hernandez Orange?
Present.
Trustee Gibson King?
Present.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Present. May we please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3.01, approval of the agenda. Is there any questions or comments from the audience regarding the approval of the agenda? Hearing none, do I hear a motion in regards to approving item 3.01?
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the agenda 3.01.
Motion made by trustee Gomez. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second made by trustee Gibson King. Is there any questions or comments?
Trustee Rodriguez,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I know previously, this agenda, once again, was changed after 48 hours, actually today. And I did contact the superintendent in regards to item that was supposed to be 5.01, in regards to a 3% salary increase for and a $700 stipend for certified non-union administrators and security. And he stated that the reason why there was, it was off the agenda was because there had to be, he felt there was a concern with how are we judging, or how are we going to give them, I guess, a stipend as well as an increase without having to, any criteria to allow them to get that. And my concern is the fact that it got taken off without having the question presented to the board and the response given to the board.
All right, trustee Hernandez Orange, let's start with that particular question. I don't want to get too much in detail because it's not on the agenda.
So I would like to make a secondary motion to add the item of the previously that was supposed to be 5.01, the recommendation to add a 3% salary increase and a $700 stipend for all non-certified, non-union administrators and security to the agenda, like it previously was.
Okay, motion made by trustee Hernandez Orange. Is there a second?
Second.
Second made by trustee Smith. Is there any discussions with regards to the second motion?
So trustee Rodriguez, can I go in detail why I'm asking for this again? Or do you want just,
Would you please refer me as chairman, please?
you're a trustee?
I'm a chairman.
Okay.
You have to respect the board. Proceed.
Again, this is real petty, what you're doing, and I know trustee Gibson King for a fact has called you trustee. That's just how it happens. Like I told you once before, I'm not going to say that I'm going to call you chairman because I know I forget. So regardless of the fact, can I go into detail in regards to this?
I will allow it, but if you don't call me either chairman of the board or Chairman Rodriguez, those are the only two that I would accept, you would be, I would ignore you on you wanting to speak.
Wonderful.
future.
We could address that with the ISBA as well as our attorney at a later date. With that being said,
I give you the floor.
with this, my comment is, it ended up getting taken out. I know we've asked on previous occasions if you could let us know, Dr. Abrego, when there's a question and there's an answer to the question, that you address the entire board. So it was removed without the entire board kind of knowing why that was going to be removed. It also was a question, and we all didn't know why. I feel like it's unfair to the individuals that are not going to be on here because of the fact that, one, in public, we stated that every person working for the school city, except for the clerical, would receive a 3% raise as well as a stipend. This was something that was done in public, number one. Number two, in closed doors, we praise our security, and they did a great job, and when we have something that happens, they're Johnny on the spot, making sure everyone's okay, but yeah, we're not gonna give them a raise. On top of our administrators, some of them have yet to ever end up getting, they do their work, they're not, dinged for anything, but yet, once again, because I don't know what you guys are doing, we're not gonna give them that. If you end up giving it to the teachers and the other contracts, then we're taking the subgroup and not giving it to them. I think that's 100% wrong. I did call our attorney and ask them because I don't understand how we're just differentiating different groups. I'm sure you guys have the 3 votes to keep it the way it is, but I'm going to fight for our security, our non-union, and our administrators, because you can't just change it up last minute to now we need to have criteria, yet the other contracts have been already approved. So this is the reason I want them.
Chairman, can I clarify on that just quickly?
Attorney Snow?
I would just reiterate to the board, we are at this point under consideration of whether or not to include an item in the agenda. So I think one of the things we have to be careful of is just proceeding on the assumption that if it's removed from the agenda today, that it would never be brought back at a future meeting. I don't want to go too far down that road and make it seem as though there's no chance to add it back in. So, I don't want to, my point just being, the item currently is not on the agenda, so I don't want to debate the entire substance of it in the context of trying to figure out whether we should have it. I think there needs to be a response as to why it was removed. If we have comments on whether or not we should address it specifically today or not, I'd like to try to, kind of keep the circle that close to it, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Dr. Abrego, did you want to have a comment or?
My only comment is that the item was placed on the agenda by our CFO, and I simply just needed more time to research and review the item with the CFO. My only question is there a better system we can use to give raises and also improve our schools? That's basically what we're trying to do, so that's my only concern.
Dr. Abrego, I just really want you to be really honest with
Trustee Smith,
sorry.
please address the chairman.
I'm sorry,
Trustee Smith,
President.
proceed.
Dr. Abrego, I just really want you to make it very, very clear as to, I'm not going to argue or debate. I just want you to make it very, very clear to these your administration and the people that you have taken this off the agenda. Give them the for real reason why you're taking them off.
Trustee Snow?
We can discuss this later, but I just want him to know that they are due an explanation, and I'm done with it, okay? We can move on. But he does owe these employees of the city of East Chicago, non-certifiers, administrators, security, so forth and so on. He does owe them an explanation. As leader, that is part of his duties, is to inform them and let them know the reason why. Now, we can come back to it later, but that's just the way that I feel. If I'm an employee here, I want to know why.
All right,
And I'm done with it, okay? We can move on.
Thank you, Trustee Smith. I'm going to conclude. Obviously, we're getting into the detail of it, and I think since it's not on the agenda, I do not want to proceed in discussion with it. So I'm going to move forward to Madam Secretary, roll call.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, we need to take a vote on so the motion, just to clarify, the motion that is before the board now is the motion to add this agenda item to the agenda. So a vote in favor of that would permit I guess, the item to be added, and then it could be discussed at the point where it originally would have been.
That is correct.
I just want to be clear that that's the motion that's in front of you. That's what it's not to approve the full agenda yet. This is now the motion to amend.
Correct.
Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gomez?
No.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez Orange?
Yes.
Trustee Gibson King?
No.
Chairman Rodriguez?
No. All right, we're now in the item 3.01, the approval of the agenda. Madam Secretary, first of all, do I hear a motion with regards to the agenda? Oh, we do have a motion. So, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
What are we voting on now?
The agenda, approval of the agenda,
No,
as is.
no.
No. Trustee Hernandez Orange?
No.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. Item 4, the consent agenda. Is there any questions or comments from the audience with regards to the consent agenda? I'm sorry, the consent agenda as written. Hearing none, do I hear a motion from the board with regards to item 4?
Madam Chairman, I vote to approve the consent agenda.
Motion made by, is that a motion?
Yes.
Motion made by trustee Gibson King. Is there a second?
Second.
Second made by trustee Gomez. Is there any discussions? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez Orange?
Yes.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. Item 5.01, actually, we're in new orders of business. 5.01, approval of bid recommendations to Sneed Construction, Inc. and HPM for Harrison and Central High School vestibule. Dr. Abrego?
Yes, I'll let our CFO explain this, but basically, the project went out for bid, and I think it went to the lowest bidder. Am I correct?
Is there any questions or comments from the audience with regards to item 5.01, approval of bid recommendations for Sneed Construction, Inc., and HPM for Harrison and Central High School vestibule? Is there any?
Did you have one, Ms. Artis?
Okay.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion approving item 5.01?
Make a motion to approve 5.01.
Motion made by trustee Gomez. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Mr. President.
Second made by trustee Gibson King. Is there any discussions?
Mr. President,
Trustee Gomez?
if we could have Ms. Simmons discuss this a little further in detail.
I'm sorry.
This is part of the ESSER renovations that we'll be doing within the district all summer long. And they're going to reorganize the vestibule at the high school. That is going to be a more secure vestibule. And also, they're going to do the same thing at Harrison. And this was the Lord's bidder that came in.
Thank you. Is there any questions or comments from the board?
She said that, the Sneed Construction is the person that's going to do this? Okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. President,
Trustee Gomez?
are these cosmetic improvements, security, both?
No, they are full constructions. We're going to take the high school, and where it's open when you come into, we're going to make a full secure vestibule. So you'll come through one door, meet the security, and then you have to be escorted out the second door to get actually into the school. And we're planning on doing this at the front door and cutting that in half. So a lot of the access around the front door will no longer be there. Same thing at Harrison. Harrison will be buzzed in. You will step into that breezeway right there in the Harrison. You will discuss it. It's a small box that's going to be there for the security. That once then, you'll then get buzzed in to go actually into the school. So it's similar to McKinley. So McKinley, when you get to the front door, then security.
Any other discussion?
Trustee Rodriguez?
Madam Secretary, roll call?
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez Orange?
Absolutely, yes. This is a very safety cautious item, so thank you for getting this in place.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. 5.02, approval of second reading for policy 7434, use of tobacco on school premises. Attorney Snow?
Yes, thank you. There, we need to read it, is that? You need to read it?
Just give us an oversight of it.
Okay. If I'm not reading verbatim, essentially, this item involves board policy number 7434, which controls the use of tobacco on school premises. Prior version of this policy did contain a provision in it that would permit the use of tobacco at certain extracurricular events or after hours or things like that if a school administration was to approve it. And I believe ISBA recommended the change as a result of, for one thing, state law that prohibits smoking within 8 feet of public buildings. So I think it was just kind of a cleaning up of the policy that was necessary. The remaining policy essentially states the health hazard that tobacco use constitutes. It describes what is, defined by the term use of tobacco, and then it states that the board prohibits it by visitors in school buildings at all times, on school grounds, on school buses, and any school-related event. So that's indoor or outdoor.
Thank you. Is there any questions or comments from the audience regarding item 5.02? Hearing none, do I hear a motion from the board on item 5.02?
Yeah, Madam President, I,
Trustee Gibson King?
want to approve this 5.02.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Gibson King, second by trustee Gomez. Is there any discussions? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call?
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez Orange?
Yes.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. Item 5.03, approval of South Shore Summer and Learning Conference stipend for presenters. Dr. Brago?
Yes, this is the first time that the School City of East Chicago is going to be attending this conference, so we want to put our best foot forward, and we're going to encourage teachers to do presentations at this conference. We'll review their presentations, and those that move forward, we want them to present at the conference and share with other districts to show them all the good things that are going on in East Chicago. And basically, if the teacher does a presentation for this Summer Institute, they will qualify for a $150 stipend, which is going to come out of Title II.
Thank you. Is there any questions or comments from the audience regarding item 5.02 as stated? Hearing none, is there a motion on the board regarding item 5.03?
Yeah, Mr. President, I just want to ask a question about the.
Trustee Gibson
item
King?
here. Yes, so.
Need to have a first and a second in order to
Okay,
ask.
Go with a second.
Okay, so
I'll make a motion to approve this.
motion made by trustee Gibson King. Is there a second?
Mr. President, second.
Second made by trustee Gomez. Trustee Gibson King, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Abrego, I know that this is something new and that we're going to have teachers that are going to participate in this. Well, I'm hoping that we do have the teachers that do go. This is kind of something that our kids can benefit from. So I would like to know if the CTE program can go and do something with this as well, because this is something that they can have a
Yeah,
competition.
every
with.
single teacher from the School City of Chicago is welcome to attend free of charge because of our donation.
Yeah.
And I think we're also in the process of trying to encourage some of our students to attend also. So, yeah, it's going to be for our teachers and our students.
Yes.
And again, we want to share, if we can get presenters to share the good things from East Chicago, we'll do that also.
Yes, thank you.
Is there any other discussions?
Chairman Rodriguez?
Trustee Hernandez Orange.
So I discussed with the superintendent in regards to this item. While I understand it's important to encourage teachers to go and promote our, our district, but there's two things that I had a problem, and I explained to him. One, all the negative that they've put out that the school, City of East Chicago is, FFFF. Then why would you want us to pay someone to go talk about an F school, right? So that's one thing I don't understand. And the second thing is we go to all these conferences. We went to all these conferences at many locations. Like I explained to him, in the Indiana Parks and Recreation, I just applied to go to a conference, and what they're offering, what I'm being offered is my travel. And that's what most conferences do, they pay for your travel. Why are we paying individuals $150 stipend on top of we're making a donation, on top of, whatever, and we're just asking them, hey, just support your school district and just go out there and do something for us. I don't understand why you had to make the payment. And it just is a bad taste in my mouth when we have our superintendent and other administrators saying it's FFF. So we're not going to give, the administrators, the security, the union and non-union their stipend and raise, but we're going to make sure to give a $150 stipend instead. It just doesn't sit well.
Can I respond?
Dr. Brigham, make a comment on that?
Yes, and again, I want to share the good things that are going on in Chicago. And I know that our schools aren't doing well, but we do have outstanding students in East Chicago. Just for the records, we just had the IRE test. 3 students from East Chicago, perfect on the IREs. Now, don't we want that teacher to share? How did you do that with that student, with other districts, so they could also perform? So we are doing good things in our district despite having failing schools. Our valedictorian at Central High School, if I'm correct, didn't she win that 4-year scholarship? Probably going to go to Notre Dame University. So what are we doing for these students? How are we getting there? To me, those are the good things that we want to share with all these other districts. And that's why it's important that we're there and that our teachers are presenting the good things that are going on in Chicago.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Trustee Hernandez Orange.
Dr. Abrego, this is the first time I've heard you say positive things about our school district, and I thank you so much for putting it on record that we have great people or great students in our district, and I think that's really what I wanted to hear to see why we needed something like this. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Any other discussions? Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez Orange?
No.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. Item 5.04, approval of MOU Health Link for vision screening. Dr. Abrego?
Yes, this is something that's required from the Indiana Department of Education. So we have to do this every year. It's an MOU, and it's governed in accordance with the laws of the state of Indiana. So it's something we have to do. It's ongoing, something we do every year.
Is there any questions or comments from the audience regarding item 5.04, approval of MOU with Health Link for vision screening? Hearing none, do I hear a motion from the board regarding approval of item 5.04?
Mr. President,
Trustee Gomez?
thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve 5.04.
Motion made by Trustee Gomez, is there a second?
I'll second it, Mr. President.
A second made by Trustee Gibson King. Is there any discussions? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez Orange?
Yes.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. Item 6, Subcommittee, 6.01, Policy. Chairman Gomez does chair the policy. Is there any items to report at this time?
Mr. President, there is none to report this time.
Okay. Item 6.02, Finance. Trustee Gibson King, is there any items to report at this time?
No, well, there was a meeting March the 22nd, 23 that Mrs. Simmons called for, but that will be brought back up at a later date.
Okay,
Just, I have a question in regards to the policy meeting.
sure.
Just, Chairman, for the finance policy meeting, was a discussion of how much the increase for the 3% raise in the stipend for the security, the administrators, and the union and non-union, was that discussed in your meeting?
You addressing that to me?
Yes, to
Yes, you're
the
the chair.
finance.
Yes, well, yes, it was, and that's why I addressed Mrs. Leela here before she left. My understanding, Mr. Abrego, that Mrs. Leela was supposed to be notified to stay when there's a finance meeting because she did call this meeting, and she left.
There was no discussion in regards, she wasn't there to
Because
discuss?
there was a meeting, I just said there was a meeting, March 22nd.
No, no, I know, but
And she
was,
chaired, and she asked for this meeting, but you asked the question, was this 3%?
and the stipend
Yeah, and I
over,
answered it. She was going to get up there and address it, but you guys addressed it before we got to the item on the table.
no, I was asking if it was, if those
Yeah,
were
I'm telling you-
discussed,
I'm
they were
telling it to you
discussed?
right now, yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah, you got ahead of yourself.
No, and so then does that mean that if there was questions in regards to that, did you discuss that then?
Mrs. Simmons was going to give her report, but you guys gave the report before we got to my finance report, which is right now. You brought that up earlier. And
Right.
Mr. Rodriguez, the president, was trying to explain to you that we were going to move on because that item was not on the table.
No, I know, but you had a
So
meeting.
Mrs. Simmons could have stayed and answered those questions, like, my understanding, Mr. Abrego, that's supposed to happen?
Well, let
But
me,
we're just,
Well, I just wanted to know if you guys discussed that at your meeting, the stipend as well as all the individuals, and if there was discussion, if you asked questions to Ms. Simmons.
was going to bring that.
No, no, I'm
all that
asking,
up.
did you do that?
Yes.
Did you ask
No, she
questions to
called
her?
the meeting, and Mrs.
No, no,
Simmons
but
called
I'm
the meeting.
asking if you, as our representative.
Yes, we did ask questions, and she was going to expound on it, yes. we
Okay,
did.
that's all I
That
need
was
to know.
discussed, yes.
Chairman President, Mr. President,
let me,
are we through?
actually, yes, because you can ask this question to the finance chair, but you are, okay, yes.
Okay, we did discuss the 3% for the Teamsters, blah, 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 but we did not get to this part for the non-union. So there, we are gonna schedule another finance meeting, I was there, to discuss this. Maybe this will be on the table for the next finance meeting, but no, we did not discuss the non-union. We only discussed the 3% for the Teamsters and whatever, so that's all I can say.
Mr. President, let me clarify that, if I will. I was there for the
Trustee
meeting. I
Gibson
have the
King.
notes here that was discussed. Like I said, Mrs. Leela Simmons called for this meeting. Myself, as well as Diane, was there. The note here was read that she called the meeting for the 3%, okay, and that was discussed. The non-certifieds and the certifieds were discussed, okay? We also discussed the, oh, man, here,
Trustee Gibson King? I think the questions was then answered then.
yeah, okay, because I know it was discussed. Like I said, that's why I wanted Mrs. Leela Simmons here to announce on what she did call this meeting for.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Item 7, trustee remarks, Dr. Abrego?
Yes, the most important one is I want all our parents to know that iLearns is right around the corner for all students in grades 3 through 8. Their testing iLearns from the state will start April 17th, so parents, we want to make sure that your children get a good night's sleep and are prepared and ready to take those tests because they're very important. That's it.
All right. Item 8, trustee remarks. We'll start with trustee Smith.
No remarks.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes, I want to say that we attended the National School Board Association, which was March the 30th through April the 3rd. And we did attend several sessions. But the session that I want to bring back and also ask of our superintendent Mr. Ambrego is dealing with the special education, the courses that I was, special education courses for school board members. I think that is something that we need to empower ourselves with as far as our children that are in special education. I also think that we need to do some things as far as empowering our parents, because there's a lot of information that is not being geared towards our children. And I would like to see something for that, something like that to happen for our children in the special education department. Thank you.
Trustee Hernandez Orange?
Yes, I have a couple. First and foremost, I will definitely look and speak to the ISBA as well. I just asked our attorney if we could silence a board member for not calling someone chairman. I've never heard that. I've always acknowledged when I was a president. I'm definitely disappointed that you would rather silence a board member than just allow them to speak just because of a title. But hey, some people think different. Next, I wanted to acknowledge the Bridget Pettis All-Star Camp that happened at the at the Central High School gym this past week over spring break. I was able to go see her and her teaching, not only basketball, but the entire child. What she did was she found a way to get our students to have a healthy eating, so they tried new things, plant-based items, fruits and vegetables, so it was all healthy. And she discussed having confidence within themselves. So they did mantras about them being important and them having confidence. Obviously, the basketball skills were there also. And the most important thing was that she told every single child that they were important. And there was about 80-something kids that were there. I know it varied with time, but one thing she did do that I thought was very important is that she did an amazing job of bringing the entire community and showing every single one of those students that were there that community members actually cared. So what you did was you saw the police, you saw the fire, you saw the coaches from the area, you saw AAU coaches, you saw directors, you saw council people, you saw the mayor, all these individuals who the children don't see on a regular basis, but I think it was important for them to know that we are here, and seeing them listen to what was there. That was a great feeling. So I just want to say thank you to Bridget Pettis for bringing this type of camp, because you did, rock all of the hearts of those children. And thank you to all those coaches that participated. Thank you to the organizers and the special guests. And I am happy to know that if the school city allows it, the city will make sure to help fund this camp on an annual basis. And that was a promise that was made, so it's great to hear that. I wanted to just say that the Autism Awareness Walk is going to be on April 15th. Currently, we have about 148 individuals signed up to participate, and I'm excited to see that. We have vendors that are going to participate. We have just goodies for the kids. We have East Chicago authors that are going to be giving books to our children. This is another event that it brings us all together. It brings awareness and support and advocates for our special needs students, like Miss Patty, our trustee, Patty Jo Gibson said. So I'm excited to have that happen in our own backyard. And if it rains, we're going to go into Central High School just because of the fact that we, want our special needs kids to be indoors. We'll have blow-ups, we'll have fun games, we'll have food. So definitely come out and enjoy some of that. And finally, I just have to give the biggest shout out to one of my former players and an East Chicago alumni, and a great young lady in Tiana Jackson, who won the WNIT championship this past weekend. She was also named MVP of the WNIT. And this young lady makes me proud, like I said, as a board member, as a coach, as an alumni. because of her story. She lost her mother at birth. She was doubted in school to the point where I remember teachers would say that she needed to get tested to be in special ed. She was a problem. We get that. We have those. But to see where she's at now, to hear those teachers and the tutors at the University of Kansas say that she's excelling academically and she's earning just accolades for her sport, that makes me happy. I know what we have in this school district, and we have a lot of those stories. So to always hear that we have F schools and our kids are not doing well, this is an example, and congratulations to her. And I hope that those young ladies and young gentlemen get to see her on the big screen so they can say, hey, she's from EC. So that's all.
Gomez?
Yes, a couple of items. As Attorney Snow mentioned earlier, the conversation about removing that item doesn't mean the item is removed forever. And it's somewhat perplexing at times when the board faces conversations such as we should not hire people during election season, or that, and yet there seems to be a desire to give people bonuses or raises during election season. To me, those are quite contrary to one another. Also, I want to make mention that Drake Morris was just inducted this last weekend to the Indiana State Basketball Hall of Fame. So I'd like to congratulate him on his nomination and induction actually into the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. He stopped by the house on his way back, so he was proud to share the news, and I'm proud to say that he was actually a board member here with us, and I remember quite a role model for kids when he was playing basketball here at East Chicago. Finally, I want to address a comment that is chairman of the board of the policy committee. We operate as board through policies. That's what the superintendent operates under. And when this board meets, we meet under the guise of conducting a business under Robert's Rules of Order. That's actually written into our policy. So I want to read Robert's Rules that says, number 58, Chairman or President. The presiding officer, when no special title has been assigned to him, is ordinarily called the Chairman or the President, or especially in religious assemblies, the moderator. In organized societies, the Constitution always prescribes his title, that of President, being most common. In debate, he is referred to by his official title and is addressed by prefixing Mr. or Madam, as the case may be, to that title. I just want to make it clear to the audience and those that may be watching that I have always believed in the policies that this board has, and whether I agree with them personally or not, we have to abide by them. That is what Robert's Rules of Order calls Mr. President. Thank you very much.
Well, I really don't have much to say other than in the next session, I will discuss the adventures and the experience that we've had at the NSBA conference. There was a lot going on, and of course, we've attended several sessions, several that I saw Ms. Gibson King as well as Ms. Smith, as well as Mr. Gomez, but more importantly, it was a ton of network going on as far as us understanding what other urban school boards are doing across the country. And again, it's not just us. I mean, we're feeling the same letter grade in pretty much every state. I mean, it's something that we have to come together. We have to work together. Administrators have to respect each other as well as board members. And and also give that respect to the superintendent. But hopefully I can give my report at at our next session that can pretty much clearly identify some of the experience that I have been to. Given that I do sit on the CUBE Council, which is another event that will be coming up in September. And the good thing about it is my goal is to try to get as many of the ISBA school board members across the state to be a part of, since it will be in Chicago. And that's another event that I'm looking forward to. But it's all about professional development, and kudos to those teachers who want to learn more, to want to find out the reason why some things aren't working, and hopefully you'll have the answers at these future conferences. Thank you. Our next, we're going to open it up for public comment. Attorney Snow?
Yes, we have policy on the public comments. Essentially, as far as the board policy on public comments, I'm not going to be able to get this verbatim, but you need to identify yourself prior to speaking. There's a time limit of 3 minutes. 3 minutes for any comments. I believe that you will have had to sign up already in order to make a comment. When you are making a comment, it is to be directed towards a policy or a subject or a topic. It is not to be confrontational toward any single board member, nor is there any expectation that the board will respond to any of your comments. And we would just ask that you keep it civil.
Trustee Gomez?
Mr. President, the first person that signed up is Graylin Gordon. I see he's left, so Princella Askew.
Good evening. Princella Askew, 2705 East Guadalupe Circle. To all of the ones that was at the conference, glad that you made it back here safely. There's a lot of things that happened while you were away, especially in Nashville, Tennessee, where they had the killing of certain people. And then it was very heartbreaking to continue to see how the kids are getting killed. And you don't know what's on these other people's minds that are killing the people. And then the parents have to be suffering because their child has left. And then in Hammond, an incident happened where on a school bus, a gun was found from one of the high school kids. And the elementary kid was the one that found the bus and gave it to the bus driver. We don't want this to happen in East Chicago because you're trying to put high schooler with elementary schoolers, because you don't know how nowadays how these kids think. We don't know if their minds are somewhere else or flying off the hook, but we want the administration here to be more concerned about the safety of the children. And Mr. Chairman, I thank you for saying that you will let us know next board meeting as to what you guys learned at that conference, because it would be very interesting to know that you go, but bring stuff back so we can know what's going on. Thank you. Is my 3 minutes up?
No, the bell ain't went off. Did you set the
1
bell?
minute.
Did you set the timer? No, we got a timer now, Priscilla. Yeah, we got a timer.
Ken, if you'd like, you have.
Trustee Gomez,
Okay,
anyone else?
yes. Ms. Linda Randolph. I have you.
Oh, man.
Good evening, Linda Randolph, 4437 Alder Street, East Chicago. It will be a little bit shorter. Priscilla hit some of the points that I wanted to also say. I'm just here with a friendly reminder that we all have to be accountable for what is best for children. You don't have to answer to me, you got to answer to God. The board members, administrators, teachers, support staff, and all of us must do what's best for children. I'm accountable. I am in your schools on a regular basis. I work with your principals and others in your buildings. I report to your directors and superintendent. I observed safety concerns, cleanliness of buildings, climate and culture, academic and social emotional progress. During my 50 years as an educator, I understand that all of these elements are important. I have learned that we've got to stop, what I tell you all, rising to low expectations. Let's bring them up here. We are a small city full of hope. We are a small school district. We have beautiful buildings and an abundance of resources. My prayer is that we raise that bar so that we can work together to achieve excellence. Parents, I want to remind you, as Dr. Abrego said, the importance of the iLearn test that's coming up. Please make sure that your children get plenty of rest. Put away the iPhones, tablets, iPads, whatever they're doing in those rooms after you tell them to go to bed, and make sure they get a good night's rest. Encourage them to do their very, very best. My desire before I leave this earth is that we become a school district of excellence. I know we can do it. Finally, I want to encourage the community to come out and learn more about the candidates for the upcoming election. There will be a forum on April 12th at the main library on Columbus Drive at 4:30, April 12th. Thank you.
Mr. President, there is one more speaker, that's Sarah Willis.
Before I start, can I ask, yeah.
How you doing, Sarah? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Those doctors there at 12 o'clock, and it was changed once I came back from lunch.
Oh, she said this was.
What I'm saying is all East Chicago resident, worker, voters, and taxpayers should be outraged by what transpired today. The docs was changed at 12 p.m. today, removing increase for non-certified, non-union administration and security. And the salary increase, the stipend, the workers, security worked for 10 years, some of them, and they just got a raise in 2022. I know y'all consider low-level employees, it's not existent. Everyone got a raise, a stipend, teachers, principals, maintenance, pairs, but not us here. So I would like to know, why did y'all change the documents on the board? You look at the date, it says April 4th, and it's there. And on the second page, read that. That was March 28th on the second page. Y'all said you didn't have a finance meeting. So how is this possible? And yet, as East Chicago resident, we pay taxes, we pay for teachers, we pay for that. But when it comes to what y'all consider no one with a title behind their name, low level, y'all will not give us a raise or a stipend. I would like to know why this was changed. Do not talk down to us. Do not say y'all gonna put a document later. Y'all got the documents from today. Could someone explain that to me?
Attorney Snow, would you like to address with regards to the agenda? The superintendent, I can probably say this, the superintendent and myself, when we reviewed the agenda, it was removed, yes.
Why?
The superintendent needed more information, but we can't explain the details of this item. But the only thing we can say at this time is that it was removed.
Why? That's not a good enough answer. Workers, a lot of workers do not speak up because they fear retaliation. Believe me, it's real in East Chicago in the school system. A retaliation against workers who speaks out.
Ma'am, and I understand the concern, and I don't think that anyone on the board intends to minimize that. I would just simply state that, as we have noted in the policy prior to this, it's not necessarily a question and answer. If the chairman would like to further address your questions, he can, but I don't think he's under an obligation to do that. There is a policy that does indicate that the superintendent, and typically in conjunction with the chair, will set the agenda for the meeting. Where it goes beyond that is kind of within their discretion, but again, at this point, it's not necessarily question and answer. So I will leave the chairman his discretion as to whether to continue to respond, but again, he's under no obligation to do that.
Because okay, let me also say, if you look, everyone, like directors, principals, all got a big raise.
Mr. President, we are at 3 minutes now. I
Oh.
apologize.
Okay, but you need to check into this. It was wrong.
Any other?
Mr. President, that concludes the speakers for this evening.
Okay, thank you, Chair Trustee Gomez. Next date and time of the meeting will be Monday, April 17th at 6 PM. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, Mr. President.
Motion made by Trustee Gibson King. Is there a second?
Second.
Second made by Trustee Gomez. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez Orange?
Yes.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes.